What's up, NIO family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with NIO, Tesla, SPY, and the overall market. I'm going to break down what's happening with the economic calendar moving forward and why the market saw a bit of a sell-off today as it was looking weaker than yesterday. But just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire community as a whole. Anyways, as far as the market goes, we got this big sell-off throughout the entire market. If you look at different things out there, such as the heat map, you guys can see the majority of stocks were in the red. We saw Nvda sell-off. We saw Tesla, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, and the list goes on, all essentially selling off. So we essentially saw this big sell-off, and this is what also dragged NIO down. And as a result of this, the market's going to be in a very, very critical place going into tomorrow. So I'll talk about some very, very key levels to watch for. But I first want to talk about this. As far as NIO goes, we still have a sell rating from Goldman Sachs. Nothing's really changing from there. The price-price ratio is very flat right now. It's not really changing much because NIO is now showing a little bit of weakness. And then on top of this, we're also seeing, when it comes to seasonality, Wednesdays are known for being the strongest day of the week for NIO. So I do hope we get some kind of rebound with that. But it depends if we hold support. There tends to be more volatility at 10 a.m., also at 1 p.m. than during the second to last hour of the day. So watch for that very closely. That's it for now. I'm not seeing anything else that's too new. There's been some talk about how NIO is said to be a very, very nice buy for 2025, as we're expecting margin expansion, new model launches, and a better market presence. We're also going to be looking for growth because of the Onvo L60 and their other vehicles. So I'm really optimistic about this and hope for the best for them. We'll see if we end up getting these improvements or not. Besides that, with the growth we've been seeing for NIO, I'm very excited to see how this develops because there are still a lot of buyers who are interested in this and they have been dominating in their particular markets. So I hope that that continues as well. So that being said, we'll see how this goes for them. For the shorter term, however, there has been some negative news that's dragged the market down. This may be a factor in slowing NIO down as well. So it may take a while for it to get that bounce, especially for 2025. They are talking about profitability in 2026, so we're not quite there yet. It's still going to require a little bit more patience to get there, but we are getting closer, and I am very optimistic with their sales increases. Now, they are talking about new horizons. I do agree that for the new year, there's going to be a lot of improvements, but we're not quite ready yet for a big bounce, at least in the current state, because of what we're seeing for the broader markets. So what happened today? Just as a reminder, we got our ISM data and our JOLTS numbers. Most things were decent, but prices did go up quite a bit for the services sectors. So companies are reporting that their prices have gone up. And this is a little bit more negative for inflationary data. This is incentivizing the Fed to keep rates higher for longer. That's why this report has come out. We look at what I highlighted right over here. The Fed may not be cutting rates until March, if not by July or September of 2025. And the Fed is going to likely not give us a cut for January. So that's going to most likely be the case. They're just going to keep things the same. And they have to be very, very patient with more inflationary risk. So please keep that in mind. Besides that, we have Jefferies announcing earnings for tomorrow. Nothing else that's too major. There's nothing else that's too significant coming out for the market. So I just want to focus on this right here. As far as NIO goes, we got to hold this support right over here around this, the 4.5 area. We could even draw out like a trend line like this. You could draw it out just like this, just to see where we need to hold up. So we could be approaching the support right here at this 4.46 area. And we need to try to reclaim, at least 4.6 near the 20 EMA. So look for a dip here to see if we get a rebound to 4.6. As long as you hold that, we're looking for some kind of bounce. For now, it does look a bit more bearish, so might rebound and start dipping towards where this trend line happens to be, very close to the low of the day again, and we have to see if we can hold that or not. If not, this is going to be at risk of more downside, so just keep that in mind. As far as SPY goes, we are showing some weakness. It's been continuing to dump. We're going to be watching for a test of about this 585 zone. I think we might dip a little bit more during the pre-market or so, and we have to bounce off 585. If we bounce off that, we could be looking for a move back up to about 592. If we don't hold 585 and we continue to lose that, there's going to be a risk of us coming back down towards 580 flat, or if not lower, especially if we have this left shoulder head and a right shoulder. Now, we're approaching this trend line of support. The last time we hit this, we did bounce off this multiple times. So we'll see if we get a dip here and a bounce back up. That might be a possibility, but it depends on how we end up reacting to that support at 585. So keep that in mind, guys. Might be a small dip on SPY. ES has a very similar setup. We're also on a downtrend. We have a left shoulder, head and a right shoulder. We have to try to reclaim 59.80. If we can't, we're going to be at risk of dipping to about 59.25. So watch this very, very closely. Nvda pumped to about 152 and rejected. So we're looking to see if we could hold this 140 area. If it doesn't hold, we're looking for 137.5. If that fails us, we're looking for a bigger dip to 135. So I do see some weakness on Nvidia. Might rebound towards 142, then reject and start dipping back down towards 137.5. And we'll have to see how it goes from here. So please keep that in mind. For Bitcoin, we have a nice accumulation structure. We have to try to hold the 200 EMA at 96,500. If we do, we could be looking for a retest of 97,800. We'll have to see if we reject. If we lose 96,500, we're looking for a dip to about 95,000 or below. If we break past 97,800, we turn back up. I assume it's going to rebound a bit, then try to reject. So watch that very, very closely. Besides that, we have stocks like Tesla, which are technically on a downtrend. I do want to mention that there is this support over here to watch for. So we have the support where this blue trend line happens to be. So we're very close to support. It's going to be very close to about this like 387 area. So we came down to about 390 today. We might dip a little bit more. We have to bounce here. If we don't bounce here, we're going to continue to dump all the way down to about 380 flat, and all the way back down to the 370s. So technically, we are looking bearish. I do think we're going to dip a little bit more. We'll have to see if we bounce off this trend line or not. If not, we will be dumping more. So just be careful with Tesla. For NQ, we're technically on a downtrend. We have to see if we can reclaim 21,400 or not. If not, there's going to be a risk of us coming down to 21,250. Still looks a bit more bearish, and this technically on a downtrend, so it might dip a little bit more to 21,200 before it attempts a rebound. Looking at the QQQ, we're technically on a downtrend as well. We have not touched our 200 EMA yet. That's going to be around 512. So I think it might dip a little bit more tomorrow to 512. We have to see if we bounce off that or excuse me or not. If we don't bounce off 512, we could be dipping to about 507 again. So watch those two supports. I think we might be dipping a little bit more to 512, and we'll see if we bounce off this. If not, we go down to 507, and we'll see if we base around there. For Aapl, run a downtrend. We're going to be testing 241 tomorrow. We have to see if we hold it. If it holds, it could still continue to consolidate between 241 and 245. But if we lose 241, we're going to be dumping back down to about 238. So technically, we're on a downtrend. We're watching to see if 241 holds, and we are still looking a little bit weaker. For the Russell, we're kind of range bound right here. We'll see if we reclaim 223.5 or not. Otherwise, there's going to be a risk of us dipping to about 220. For AMD, we have this gap to fill, so it might be dumping to about 125, so keep that in mind. Coin is looking a little bit weaker. We have to try to get back above 271. Otherwise, this could be favoring a move back down to about 259. For Amazon, we pushed about 228, and then we rejected. We'll see if we get a bounce off 220 to rebound for 224. If not, we're just going to remain a lot more bearish. So I think we might be filling this gap back down to 221, if not by the 220 area. We'll have to see if we hold. If we don't, we're going to be dumping more. So watch for a test of 220. Looking at Meta, we look a little bit more bearish. We're looking for a test of 611 and 606. We'll see if we bounce off those support zones or not, but I think it's going to be dipping a little bit more. Looking at Microsoft, we could be retesting 420 to 419, that's support right here. We'll have to see if we bounce off that. Otherwise, it favors more downside. Google's also looking a little bit weak. We're looking for 195 as our main support. If that does not hold, we're looking for 193.5. We'll see if it holds around there or not. Still has a range. As we hit 198 to 200, we tend to reject, but around 190, we like to get bought back up. So still favors downside nonetheless. With that being said, guys, I want to keep this video short and simple. Thank you all so much for listening. Looking at NIO in the markets, expect a little bit more downside tomorrow, but we do have these supports we're going to be approaching. So on NIO, we have support at this 4.45 area. We might be dipping towards that. We'll see if we bounce. If we don't, this could be dumping to fill the gap and come all the way down towards like the 4.25 area. So just be careful. Let's look for a small dip and we'll see if we bounce or not. With that being said, I thank you all so much for listening. Please have an absolutely fantastic rest of your day, and I'll be back very soon with another updates tomorrow. Thanks again, and peace out.